Welcome back to USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida, where we are running the Amalie 100 for the Hooters Sportsman Cup cars. New division of Hooters Racing to complement the Hooters Late Model Series, the Hooters Cup Late Model Tour. This is the next division down, and a lot of these drivers have hopes of moving up into the Hooters Cup Late Model Tour in the years to come, as we are now 38 laps into this 100-lap event. We've been under caution after a crash on the speedway. The cars have been towed to the pit area, and we're just about ready to get back after it with race leader Tom Kelly in car number 72, Bobby Beauchemin in the 61 car in second, and Ricky D. Rubin, car number 13, in the third spot. I'm Roby Helm, Mark Bishardi alongside in the booth, Doug Rice down in the pit area as we get set to go back to green flag action. Starter Tony Boswell waves the green flag, and Tom Kelly leads the field into turn number one. And Mark, it looks like the third place car having some problems on that restart.
Right, he went high going into turn one, and two cars got underneath of him. The 07 of Wayne Jones. I'm still trying to figure out who the next car is. Excuse us, folks, we're not quite familiar with these cars. It's the first time we've seen them.
Well, we'll have them down here in a lap or two, I'm sure.
Yes, we will.
Wayne Jones, no stranger to the local fans here in the Lakeland area, former street stock champion at the old Lakeland Interstate Speedway, which was on this property before they built the 3/4 mile USA International Speedway. So Wayne Jones trying to do well in front of the hometown crowd. As they race down the front straightaway to turn one, they're chasing Tom Kelly in car number 72, the veteran Bobby Beauchemin, car number 61 in that second spot, and Wayne Jones in third, and in that blue car beginning to knock on the back door of Wayne Jones.
Yes, it is. Wayne Wilson's making a move up there into the top five, so we got quite a battle going on up front. It seems like the same thing happened in the Hooters Cup race. The leader seems to check out, and then the next three guys battle away for the second position, which gives the leader a chance to gain more position on the racetrack.
So the field racing down the back straightaway. That's the number 66 car of Rick Creech moving up to battle with Wayne Jones for the third spot, and Ricky D. Rubin, who ran so many laps in the third spot, he's dropped back into that fifth spot.
Yes, he has. We got quite a few drivers up here. I think the first 5 drivers are looking for their first win this year. In the sixth spot, you have Rusty Hillman, who has 1 win. Seventh, you have Joe Winchell, who has 2. So we may have a new winner here tonight.
And other drivers that have won this year on the Amalie Oil Sportsman Tour that this series is developed from include Brian Storr out of Zephyr Hills, Florida, Fred Rogacki, and Joe Winchell that's won a race. Rogacki has 2 wins, as does Winchell, and Glenn Whitney. He won last time out here at USA International Speedway.
Yes, he did. Put on quite a show. Like we said, there was a lot of passes there at the end of the race, but he pulled off the win.
And there you see Fred Rogacki in car number 23, 2-time winner this season. And yes, it is difficult to make your mouth move just right to say that name, but it's Rogacki.
We got a couple of them in this field. You got one, Greg Cahu. So if you see her struggle a little bit, thank you very much.
The battles continue out on the speedway as we look at Fred Rogacki, and he's up there battling with, I believe, the 48 car of Johnny Hay as they race down the back straightaway into turn number 3, a 3/4 mile high-banked oval here at USA International Speedway. And as we were saying before, Mark, these guys used to racing on 3/8 mile and 1/4 mile racetracks. This thing here has got to seem like a super speedway, like Daytona.
It's got to be like Daytona for them. It's kind of like the Sportsman series that NASCAR came up with to run at Charlotte. So these guys are getting a lot of experience running on a racetrack like this.
Bobby Beauchemin still holding down that second spot. And out in front, it is the 72 car of Tom Kelly. As we continue to look at Fred Rogacki, as we're now moving up behind him is the 56 car of Wayne Wilson. There you see Rusty Hillman in the 71 car as he started on the outside the front row, challenged early, but then kind of faded back through the field. Also the number 77 car of Glenn Whitney in the picture, the number 77 Exide Batteries car. Field moving down the back straightaway, which used to be the front straightaway of the old quarter-mile racetrack. So as Mark was saying earlier, we first came here, and Beauchemin's off the pace. Second place car off the pace down the front straightaway. So a tough break for Bobby Beauchemin out of Miami. He's going to try to limp the car all the way around. He's up on the high side coming off the second turn. There you see him on your screen. Bobby Beauchemin out there running in second spot, but then the engine shut off coming down the front straightaway, Mark.
Right, and he'll be lucky if he makes it all the way into the pits. We saw a lot of attrition in the Consi race. We saw a lot of blown motors yesterday in practice. This is quite a strain on these type of cars, but they're going to learn in several times here what kind of motors to bring, how to make the car last. So it's a learning experience in more than one way for these guys.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe these cars run a 9-inch Ford rear end, which is different from what the Hooters Cup late models would run, as Beauchemin's car has stalled up in between turns 3 and 4 to bring out the caution flag. That these guys, like the Hooters Cup late models, quick change rear end. You take the back plate off of the rear end, put another set of gears in, but these guys got to work a little harder, and we'll discuss that a little bit more right after we take this break, pay a few bills, so stay with us. We'll be back with more of the Amalie 100 right after these messages, so don't go away. Welcome back to USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida, running the Amalie 100 for the Hooters Sportsman Cup cars. I'm Roby Helm, Mark Bishardi alongside, and Doug Rice reporting from the pit area tonight as we are getting set to go back to green flag action. Out in front, it's the 72 car of Tom Kelly. The second place car, Bobby Beauchemin, car number 61, bringing out this latest caution flag by stalling up in turns 1 and 2. Starter Tony Boswell giving the field the 1 to go signal, and Wayne Jones out of Lakeland, Florida, hometown boy, brings the 07 car up into second spot. And you know that he's really got to have the adrenaline pumping, a hometown boy in front of his hometown crowd and on national television. And
probably one of the biggest crowds he's ever raced in front of here in Lakeland.
And probably the biggest track that he's ever raced on as well. Moving up into the third spot, it'll be Rick Creech in the 66 car.
And we haven't talked about him very much tonight. There's several cars that are falling out in the front, and there's others moving in, but the consistent cars seem to be the ones that have posted wins this year. They're steadily moving towards the front of the field.
And Tom Kelly, the race leader, picks up the pace coming off the fourth turn. Green flags back out from Tony Boswell, and we are racing. Kelly had moved out to a pretty good lead over Beauchemin before Beauchemin had his engine problems, but now Wayne Jones looks like he's able to stay with the leader.
And looking back to the field, looks like Ricky D's moving back further. Joe Winchell and Glenn Whitney just got by him.
Ricky D was running up as high as third spot, but he's steadily been going backwards through the field and working up on the outside. Everybody going underneath him. Johnny K in the 48 car just also moved underneath as well, so Ricky D definitely got some problems. Rusty Hillman back up into the fourth spot with Joe Winchell now running fifth, and you can't count out a veteran like Joe Winchell. Here's a driver that it just seems like a few years ago he was running street stocks, then went straight from the street stocks into the late models, and even ran on the all-pro circuit for a while before moving back to late models and now down to the Sportsman car.
And I heard a guy one time say that Joe Winchell can race a car with less than most people can with a lot more money. Joe's got a lot of talent, and he's still looking for somebody to pick him up to move on up.
Let's go down to the pit area where Doug Rice is standing by with Bobby Beauchemin.
Bobby Beauchemin dropped out of this event as he was running in second place and giving it a good strong run tonight. Bobby, what happened to your mount there?
The engine let go, no warning.
Just all of a sudden disappeared on you, huh?
Just like that, no warning at all.
Looked like you had an awfully strong pony out there while you were in the running.
It was running good.
So Bobby Beauchemin, he's out of here tonight. His engine just gave up the ghost, or as Sterling Marlin once said, it just blowed up.
Well, Mark Bishardi, the first time on TV for these guys, and they're a little bit nervous out there.
I think they are, and he used a classic quote.
I kind of like it, though.
Well, we just talked about Joe Winchell a minute ago. He lost a couple spots on the racetrack while we were bragging on him.
Well, that's what we get.
That's it. We do that time and time again.
I think that's kind of neat, though, because, you know, you hear a lot of the professional drivers that are used to being on TV, a lot of them, they go to the public relations courses, they go to public speaking courses to talk on TV, and it's kind of refreshing to see Bobby Beauchemin say it just blowed up.
And just think back to the beginning of the year when we started the Hooters Cup deal with the late models. Remember Mario Goslin the first time he was in front of the mic? And now look at him tonight when he finished, they talked to him in the pits. He handled it pretty well. So a few times in front of the mic, these guys will pick it up.
You have to learn a lot of poise out there, especially when you have a bad night. And a lesson Bobby Beauchemin just learned. But Bobby's a veteran. He's been around a lot of years, and he'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
Watching the 66 car, Rick Creech out on the Speedway, battling with Ricky D in the 13 car, and the number 10 car, Ron Regula. Regula, another driver like Beauchemin that came out of that tough Miami, Florida area, racing at Hialeah Speedway. And, you know, as we were talking earlier about some of the late model talent that's come out of Hialeah, these Sportsman guys, they are tough down there.
Well, if you can race on a flat track and be as competitive as those guys are, it's easier to adapt to a high bank than it is to go from a high bank to a flat track. So in some ways, I about lost my train of thought on that one.
Well, I can understand why, as we're looking at some of the EEOC endangered species list there with the Hooters girls. Of course, the EEOC, they want to see Hooters guys, but I don't know of anybody else that wants them.
No, it's an atmosphere that Mr. Brooks has created with Hooters to where it's just a family atmosphere with pretty girls.
What's next? Male dancers at the Radio City Music Hall in the Rockettes? Where does it end?
I don't know. Let's get back to racing, something that we know a little more about.
I want to get on my soapbox and talk politics here now. Election year coming up next year, you know. With the government shut down, I mean, they can't agree on a budget, the government shut down, you'd think they'd have better things to do than to pick on those poor Hooters girls.
Well, I think they just want to get a little bit outside of what they have in mind, you know, as far as maybe break up the monotony of talking all those new laws to talk about pretty women.
There you go. As we've seen in some of our commercials that Bill Clinton also likes the Hooters girls. There you see Tom Kelly, the race leader, and there's the 14 car getting into a little bit of a problem. Jimmy Ballard Jr. doing battle with a guy he's battled with many times here in this area, Harold Boom Boom Cannon in car number 1.
You'll have to fill us in on the boom boom part.
I gave him that name as the public address announcer at Lakeland Interstate Speedway, Harold Boom Boom Cannon, and it stuck.
It's probably not the only one you've ever given a nickname to. You see Joe Winchell still falling off the pace a little bit. Now that's good side-by-side racing.
These guys race hard, and they're not afraid to do a little rubbing out there.
Well, when you come from Hialeah, you better not be afraid to rub little fenders.
That's the standard racing procedure down there, isn't it?
Yep. Sometimes you gotta move somebody out.
Look at this, 3 wide down the front straightaway.
What a job.
It just about didn't work, and who else is in there? Harold Boom Boom Cannon.
He's getting banged around pretty good.
This is going to get interesting because Boom Boom won't take too much of that. Look at that. He's got the sheet metal flying off of both sides of that car.
As long as it doesn't get underneath the wheels, he'll be fine.
Well, it's flapping around there pretty good. Tony Boswell taking a look at it as he comes down the front straightaway, and I see him reaching for the board that's on the flag stand. So we may see a caution flag come out, and indeed
just
we
in time.
It looked like he was putting a number up on the board in the flag stand and might have been able to getting set the black flag, Harold Cannon, but Harold Cannon put some debris out on the speedway, says, I think you better bring caution out instead.
Yes, he does. And like we said, as long as that sheet metal didn't get underneath the tire and cause the tire not to turn and slide up the racetrack, he was fine. He's still battling a little bit, but he lost the major part of it.
So things getting a little rough and tumble out there with the Sportsman cars, as we were saying, they're not afraid to rub some sheet metal, and some of that sheet metal down on the speedway. So the track officials going out there to retrieve it. We'll be going back to green here pretty soon. So stay with us for the conclusion of the Amalie 100. Still about 25 laps or so to go. So stay with us. We'll be right back.